Welcome back, viewers, to the PI show. Just before the break, we're talking about this case of Hardy Harry and how he lost, but I think it was a bit stiff.
It could have gone either way. I think, look, depends how the evidence came out. The judge found Hardy an unreliable witness. But
So credibility was a big issue.
taking that into account, he had a psych injury. It was fairly dramatic nervous breakdown, I thought.
They were smoking 50 to 60 joints a week, which would have given rise to schizophrenia, you'd think, Harry. So
Yeah, serious psychological injuries, and it's a lot of joints a week, I presume.
that's
I don't know.
I don't know, but it sounds like a lot of... I mean, could you imagine smoking 50, 60 cigarettes a week? So that's actually marijuana, which is... sounds like a lot to me.
And I think, the judge... but the judge emphasised, look, it was after hours as well. It wasn't during working hours, Tony, that
No,
he
it
was
wasn't.
he was undertaking these. He was sober during the day, and after hours he'd go back to a motel, mix and mingle,
Well, it sounds like
have alcohol, have
sounds
drugs.
like they were bored, you know, they didn't know what to do with themselves.
But look, there was no duty to monitor his activities after hours, and you know, the judge made comments about employers shouldn't be snooping around about what employees are doing after hours.
No.
It's not part of the Australian way of life, and you know that's one of the themes the judge had.
And also,
and you've got to take personal responsibility.
That's right. But also, I got the impression that that the attitude was also, if he didn't like where he was working, he could have got alternative employment.
He could have got alternate work.
Yeah.
So he was living away from home. Obviously, the money would have been good.
Yes.
He had a young family, but look, he had a choice.
But it does raise interesting points, because for the future, if employers have got this situation and they're aware what the employees are doing...
If they're aware 100%, then you might have a different result.
So you know, it depends on the facts as usual, Harry. So,
Yep.
And reliability of your witnesses.
But look, the next case we've got is a case of Miller and Miller. It was a motor car accident in Perth in 1998, and it was a 16-year-old girl in the back seat of a car. The car ran off the road.
It's hard to work out which part of the car she was in, Harry. There was 9 in the car.
Yeah, well, we'll come to that, but she was backseat passenger. She's a tetraplegic. That is, she's got no movement from the neck downwards.
I think it's a waist.
The waist downwards.
It's around about her chest downwards, perhaps.
So, catastrophic injury. Now, the first thing you'd say, Tony, is the driver's liable. He ran off the road and he ran into a tree.
Now, the problem here is that they stole a car. She stole a car.
She stole the car.
She stole a car. And the
Well,
guy... And
why isn't the driver liable?
because they're in a illegal venture together. And the law's always found it hard to look after people in those circumstances. It's a bit like you and I want to go and rob a safe. And you've got the dynamite and I don't know, I light it up, who knows. What's the duty of care, you to me and vice versa? How can you draw a...
If the safe cracker just does it negligently,
he
it's a
blows
negligent
us up,
safe
he blows
cracker.
us up, yeah. It's the same
Well,
with this.
Historically, the law says we won't look after outlaws.
That's exactly
so
right.
if you're outside the law, if you're undertaking a criminal activity, the law says you don't have any legal rights to enforce against the other party who's a wrongdoer.
That's exactly
unfortunately.
right.
So,
albeit if you get a scenario where, let's say you've got an unlicensed driver who's injured in a car accident due to someone else's fault, the unlicensed driver, strictly speaking, still got rights.
They still have rights because it's a breach of a statute.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So it's not a criminal activity to have unlicensed driving. But in this case, it's a sad case because the facts sort of pointed to the 16-year-old girl sort of doing the right thing up to a point.
Well, she stole a car and then someone else was driving it.
But, you know, she was with a 20-year-old sister and a 12-year-old sister. They went to a nightclub. They couldn't get in.
I think a cousin was driving. I'm not. Yeah.
But the uncle was driving.
The uncle, was it?
Yeah. And look, she went. She was going to take a train home.
There was no trains.
There was no trains.
Yes.
She didn't have any money for a taxi.
So she stole
Then
a
she
car.
started. No, then she started looking inside some cars parked near the nightclub for some money. Then she got into one of the cars, managed to start it, but didn't want to drive. She was only 16. She asked her sister to drive. The sister said. Then the uncle came out and found them. The uncle said, "No, I'll drive you." He'd been drinking, but they didn't know how much.
No.
Then he's got in the car. Then all his mates got in the car with him. There were 9 in the car.
There was 9 in the car.
She was in the back seat, and they had quite a long drive to go. And he was sort of...
Well, he was driving excessive speed and behaved recklessly, going through red lights, and he was really, really poor.
But she asked him to stop or let him out, but at the end...
Couldn't control it.
And, Tony, the judge... The way the proceedings went was, in the first instance, they agreed that it was 50% her fault between the parties, and the only issue they argued in court was whether there was any duty of care, whether the driver had a duty of care, whether the law imposed a duty of care, and the judge in the first instance said yes.
Well, I think that was a correct result, Harry.
Tough. It was a tough call. Then the equivalent of TAC went to the Court of Appeal in West Australia, and the judges said no, she wasn't entitled to any compensation. And the case is now going to be heard by the High Court to determine this issue.
I think she's got a reasonable chance of succeeding because even though she stole the car, that wasn't the thing that caused the accident. What caused the accident was his negligent driving, reckless driving. So even though there's an illegal activity which was stealing the car, the thing that caused the damage wasn't the stealing of the car. It was the fact that he was recklessly driving, excessive speed, going through red lights. And drink driving.
Yeah. So he clearly he was at fault.
So I don't think anything she did caused the accident.
But when you read all the facts leading up to the activity and her getting in the car and the history of the law on this, unfortunately, I think she's going to lose.
The cases on illegality, Harry, have gone sort of both ways, and there's been extensions there, and I think this is my gut feeling, she'll probably get up.
No,
albeit there'll be a severe discount.
No, they've agreed on 50%.
Yeah.
50%. But look, I think her prospects of succeeding in the High Court are zero.
Well, we should follow up on this case
We will.
because it's of interest to everyone, and I think I'm going on the basis she'll get up.
Okay, well, look,
Right,
yeah, we
we'll have a
agree to
little side
disagree.
wager
But,
there.
I think that's all we've got
No, well,
time
the mailbag,
for.
the
And we've got to
mailbag.
go to the mailbag after the break.
So viewers, keep watching.
Keep watching, and we'll be back after the break with Kathy's mailbag.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Stay tuned. Thank you.